All right, just waiting for everything to go live. Thanks you guys for joining me today. Today is the 13th of February. Tomorrow's Valentine's Day, so if you guys needed the reminder, here it is. Otherwise, today's the 13th. Happy Tuesday. This is a live that we do every week. It's an opportunity for you to ask your questions, get them answered. Hopefully we'll be able to get any of your questions answered. Of course, if you're wondering about what's available out of your area, if you include your zip code in the chat, that would be extremely helpful. But yeah, include your zip code, your years of experience, and then I can be more specific in what we have available. So I am still getting some notifications, so hopefully those will go away for you in the background and you won't have to listen to that. But again, my name is Jessie. I'm with Decker Truckline. We go live every Tuesday at noon Central here on our YouTube channel to offer information and give you updates on what's going on here at Decker. So as first off, I should say, as a reminder, we do have a reminder going out to those of our drivers who are within an hour of our hours of service right now, if they're coming up on the hours of service violation. That will be changing here shortly, but as of now, that's what the process is. So it'll be changing to who all gets it if you've had a violation, as a reminder to keep those violations, hours of service up to date and everything. Also, a reminder for the PC, any personal conveyance violations, blah, 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 there we go. These are considered hours of service violations. And they're classified as falsifying logs if they are done incorrectly. So if you have a personal conveyance violation, it falls under falsifying logs. So yeah, anyways, that's what I was getting at. So please remember that to follow the personal conveyance, the PC rules. Okay. If you have questions, let us know. Get yourself to a safe haven, some safe parking. I'm looking out the window right now, and I can tell you that there is weather. It's snowing pretty good right now here in Montana. Let me back up for just a second for those of you who don't know. Decker is based out of Fort Dodge, Iowa. That's our main terminal, but we do have a terminal out of Missoula, Montana, and we also have a terminal out of Bessemer, Alabama. We've got a shop out of Des Moines. We've got Sperry and Mediapolis, Hammond. So we've got a couple of different locations for terminals and stuff. But I'm out of the Montana area, and I'm looking out my window, and there's definitely some snow coming down yet again. Temperatures are below freezing, so they are. It's chilly again. So be prepared if you're not already. Make sure that you're always checking your time. That you have plenty of time to get to the shipper or receiver, that you're checking the weather and knowing, or at least having an idea, because obviously they can err for those forecasts, but you have an idea if there's going to be any weather coming in your neck of the woods, if the roads are clear, if you're going to need to allow for additional time to get to your shipper or receiver on time and safely. So, and always communicate with your driver manager and let them know if, hey, I'm running into some weather. Here's where I'm at. I'm running into some weather. It'll be a little bit late, or I need to shut down if the roads are bad. We do carry chains, obviously, with a chain law is from September 1st to May 31st. So it is required that you carry chains if you're running any of the passes. But whether or not you throw them is up to you. That's your call. And chains aren't there to get you 100 miles down the road. Chains are there to get you out of trouble, not into it. So keep that in mind, right? Always a reminder, always a good reminder to have. I know a lot of drivers who they've driven for years and years, 30 years, and they've never thrown chains. That's all right. That's okay. That's their preference, and they're communicating with their DM, so it's okay. All right. Another note or another reminder, our Bessemer shop, we changed the hours a little bit, so we've got one shift Saturday, Sunday, Monday, it runs a 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Long shift for those guys, but they do a pretty darn good job. It's a 12-hour shift there. And then we have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So starting as of yesterday from 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. All right, so those are the new hours for our Bessemer terminal out of Alabama. If you guys have questions, feel free to ask. Just want to keep you in the loop of what's going on there. And Tom says he's had 29 years of driving and has only chained once. See, it's doable. Even with those who run into into, say, Washington or Montana or Northern Oregon, it's doable. It just depends on your preference, where you're at. Timing obviously has a big deal to that, or weighs heavily on that. Keep also in mind that if you don't know how to chain, you can go into our YouTube channel here and look for chaining or how to chain. And Liam walks you through a tutorial on how to do it. He'll throw the chains and show you how to put them on the tires if that's new to you. Because you need to know how to do it, because what if you're in a bind where you have to throw them to get yourself out of trouble, or to get, maybe you're not getting any traction, and in order to get to a safe place, you've got to throw the chains to get there. The different types of scenarios. If you don't know how to do it, go check that out. How to throw chains here on our YouTube channel. So cool. All right, I do want to talk about our Midwest Flatbed Division. This is a home weekly opportunity that, you can get home weekly, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it usually comes home, you're usually coming home on a Friday night or a Saturday morning, and then back out either Sunday night or Monday morning. But this $14.50 is a minimum pay. You're looking at making sure that you're available for dispatch at least 5 days out of the week, no load refusals, no driver service failures, so no late loads, no preventable accidents for the week, no CSA violations for the week, and that does include, like I said, personal conveyance or hours of service, and then get your paperwork in on time. We have the TransFlow Geotab units in our truck. You can scan it or take a picture, I guess is actually what you're doing. You're taking a picture of your bills and get them over to the payroll department. Always make sure that you're taking a picture of each page and that at least one page has the signature on it for each load. It's a good reminder for all of you who are sending that in. But yeah, we use the TransFlow Geotab system. That's also, our ELDs, our communication to our driver managers, your fuel routing. You can also access your scorecard and safety bonus off of that. Scorecard and safety, by the way, that is, those are both our monthly bonuses that you can qualify for, and together they would be an extra 5 cents on all the miles that you've completed for the previous month. Now that's as a company driver. If you're an owner operator or LP, then you're looking at an extra 4 cents a mile total. But again, it's different levels. So maybe you don't get the full 5 cents a mile as a company driver. Maybe you get 3 cents a mile or 4 cents a mile. It all depends on where your points are for the month on your scorecard and your safety bonuses. And we go through that. Of course, if you have questions, let me know. But we have gone through that in several videos that we break it down, the different criteria on what that is. Idle time, fuel compliance, miles, on-time delivery, CSA points, preventable accidents, and claims. Those are the 7 criteria for it. Pretty cut and dry. But if you have questions, of course, either check out one of our YouTube videos on it, or ask away and we can elaborate even more so. Well, then we also have our our safety bonus, which adds an extra penny per mile. So you get 4 cents a mile possible for the company drivers on the scorecard, and an extra penny per mile on anything for the safety bonus. So if you earn the safety bonus, it's a penny per mile on all the miles that you completed that previous month. So yeah, you can make a little extra money that way. And you'll get notified through the TransFlow app, since that's where I started with this roundabout here. You'll get information through the TransFlow app on both of those bonuses, both those scores, and then you can review it with your driver manager. I highly recommend you do that, so that if there are areas that need improvement, you can start there. If you're doing really well and you're maximizing, you get the extra 5 cents a mile on all of that, or totaled for all that. And then if that's the case, fantastic. What are you doing that you want to keep doing? If you're not getting it, what are you doing that you need to not do anymore so that you can maximize it? It's a good conversation to have with your driver manager or your ambassador. We have ambassadors here at Decker, which basically is someone here in-house that'll be reaching out to you your first couple of months when you start here at Decker and help you kind of maneuver the process. I mean, you're getting to know a new company, and you probably have questions on some of the procedures, or maybe you're wondering about benefits when they kick in, how the scorecard works, what the how to read your statement. I mean, there's a number of things that you could be asking. Your ambassador is a good resource to reach out to. Now, of course, you've got your driver manager as well. Sometimes you guys don't want to talk to your driver manager. Sometimes maybe you feel like they've got plenty of others that they're reaching out to, or maybe you're like, yeah, I'm not sure this is really a DM question. That's okay. Reach out to your ambassador. Let's get that answered. If your ambassador doesn't know the answer, maybe you're giving them a one-off question, then they'll find it. That's their job. So instead of you having to search around and call anybody and everybody in-house, all of your support, which there's a lot of us in here supporting you behind the scenes, then the ambassador will take care of that, and you just don't have to waste your time doing it. But let's get those questions answered and make sure that the whole transition over to Decker is really smooth for you. So you'll have your ambassador. Of course, you've got the training department, those who run the training department, orientation. You've got Elaine, and you've got Tanner, and you've got Mike Bruns. I mean, you've got a lot of individuals that you can use as resources, and maybe you were referred. If you were referred by somebody, you might even have that individual's telephone number, and maybe they're who you go to for questions answered. But it's a pretty darn good team here to support each other and answer some of those questions. Cool. Speaking of answering some of those questions, before I go back to talking about the Midwest Flatbed division that pays $14.50 a week, I do want to mention that our truck washes, it was a question that was brought up just the other day. People are asking here on our YouTube channel, but truck washes, yeah, you get one truck wash a month most of the year. However, that's out on the road. You can wash your truck every single day at the terminal, whether you're at the Missoula terminal or Fort Dodge or whatever. You can wash it every single day. As long as you can get in there, you can wash it. Sometimes it's sometimes we'll have somebody there available to wash it for you. Maybe they're busy washing another one. If that's the case, you're welcome to do it yourself. But yeah, you can wash your truck every single day at one of the terminals. So there's no limit to that. We like these clean trucks. But out on the road, it's one truck wash a day, except during the winter months. Then it's every 14 days that you can get a truck wash instead of every 30 days. So we up it. We know that the snow and the dirt and the grime and whatever it is that they're throwing on that state, on the ground or on the road at that state, needs to be off of the truck. So we understand that. Feel free to get your truck washed. But if you have questions, feel free to ask. Speaking of, that telephone number that you keep seeing flying by, 877-433-2537, that's the telephone number to the recruiting department, and they'll be able to answer a lot of the questions too. So if you're wondering, hey, does Decker hire out of my area? That's a good call to make, 877-433-2537. Of course, you can ask in the chat as well. And if you're wondering what we have out of your area, we've got refrigerated and we've got flatbed positions. So again, depending on where you live, we might have both options out of your area. We might have one or the other or none. So feel free to get a hold of us, 877-433-2537. All right, I am circling back to that Midwest Flatbed Division to give you a little bit more details. $14.50 a week. Again, the minimum requirements to earn the $14.50 a week is make sure you're available for dispatch at least 5 days out of the week. No load refusals, no driver service failures, no late loads, no preventable accidents, no CSA violations, and get your paperwork in on time. That's the 6 criteria. Easy enough. If you don't meet all of that criteria, maybe if you didn't get your paperwork in on time, or maybe you had a CSA violation, whatever, if you miss one of the criteria, then you'll revert back to your cents per mile and the miles that you ran. Your cents per mile are going to be based off of your experience level. So if you're new to the industry and you only have 10 months of experience, you're looking at 56 cents a mile as an inexperienced driver, or minimal experience, I should say, starting at 56 cents a mile. Whereas if you have 15 years of experience in the flatbed division, you might be starting at 70 cents a mile. So obviously, someone at 70 cents a mile has to earn or has to run fewer miles to get to that $14.50 a week, where someone with 9 months, 10 months experience will have to run more miles than the experienced driver in order to get to that $14.50 a week. But remember, your mileage doesn't matter when it comes to earning that $14.50. So with all of that said, hopefully I didn't just make that confusing for you, but the 6 requirements that I gave you, none of those are mileage requirements. None of those 6 were mileage requirements. So again, be available for dispatch at least 5 days out of the week. No load refusals, no driver service failures, no CSA violations, no preventable accidents, and get your paperwork on time. None of those are mileage requirements. So as long as you meet those 6 criteria, you'll get at least $14.50 a week. The cents per mile and the rate of pay per mile, if it exceeds that $14.50, you'll get the better of the two. Even though you met those requirements, you'll still get the better of the two, right? That's the whole goal, is to make sure that you are being rewarded for your performance. Jeremy Larson says, how much do your tarps weigh? Well, if they have any snow on them, they are ridiculous. But I would say, I want to say like 110, 115, 120 maybe. They're not light. You're definitely, oops, what am I pushing? Yeah, they're definitely heavy. But I would say, depending on whether or not you're looking at steel tarps, lumber. So we haul a variety of freight, mostly building supplies, but sheetrock, steel beams, coils, lumber. Sometimes we'll be hauling things like the interior of truck washes or things like that. I mean, it's a variety of things, but it is mostly building supplies. We don't really do heavy loads or oversized. That's not really our deal. We don't do a whole lot of that. But yes, when it comes to tarps, they're heavy. They're, I'd say, right around 110, I believe is what they're at. It's a good question. But you put any snow on that and it gets that much heavier, right? I wonder. When it comes to, speaking of flatbed, when it comes to the trailers, we run, most of our flatbed trailers are 48 foot, or all of them are 48 foot. We do have Wilson trailers. That's what I see a lot. You'll see a lot of those Wilsons with the aluminum on the bottom there. Yeah, most of our trucks are the 579 Peterbilts. The majority of them are. And then we have some 740, for, again, this is flatbed that I'm talking, so 740 Volvos, and we have some Freightliner Cascadia Evolutions too. Our trucks are automatics for the most part. We have a few that aren't, but I would definitely expect, like I need to prepare you for an automatic, not necessarily a manual. So if you have a restriction saying that you can't drive a manual, that's not a problem. That's the majority of our trucks are the automatics, and that's probably what you get. Most of our manuals have been assigned or are assigned to some of our long-term veteran drivers here at Decker. They've been with us for over 15 years. They've got to spec their trucks a little bit. So those are the ones that you're seeing that are manuals. Our trucks on average are about 16, 18 months for average age. You probably won't be getting a 2020. If you do, that will be short-lived. Most of those are on our sale lot right now. So if you're looking for a truck, if you're looking to purchase a truck, we've got some of those. But yeah, we have a couple of trailers too, I believe, actually on the sale lot. But most of our trucks are automatics. They're very well maintained with a ton of amenities. APUs, inverters, refrigerators, microwaves, TVs. Yes, we supply the 22-inch television. We also have the Epic View satellite TV programming. That's company paid. We have Sirius Radio. You would have to have the subscription for the Sirius Radio though. But all of the equipment is here. Although we do have free Wi-Fi in our trucks, and I do know a lot of people, a lot of our professional drivers here at Decker, they will stream so they'll stream like audiobooks or music or whatever instead of Sirius Radio. That's totally up to you, but know that the option is there if that's what you want. So, yeah. I'm sure what I missed some of the amenities. CB units in all of the trucks. They're double bunk trucks. Yeah, kind of gives you an idea. There's a lot of amenities. They're pretty sweet. Yeah, really, really nice equipment. And that I wouldn't expect a brand new truck when you first start, because those do go to our more veteran drivers here at Decker first. But again, our trucks are newer, so you're not looking at a 2018, 2019. You're not going to see that here at Decker right now. Yep, you would have seen it a few years ago. Chuck says, do you have lease? We do have lease. I am putting a big asterisk on this though, and I'm going to dive into like specifics for you. The reason I say that is we have lease. It's available after you've been here for 6 months. We don't have a required deposit for that. I mean, the deposit is technically like the 6-month waiting period, right? But you have to earn the lease. The lease is not something that we're like, oh yeah, anybody can go on the lease, or we're not a company that's going to shove the lease onto you. That is absolutely not Decker Truck Line. Our equipment, you can lease brand new equipment, but again, you do need to be here at least 6 months, and you need to qualify for it. Meaning your scorecard and your safety scores, which are both bonuses each month, you need to do well in both of those. It's a walk-away lease, so you're not burdened with those additional expenses if it doesn't work out. But we don't want you to transition into the lease purchase for it to fail, right? Like, our goal is to help support you to make sure that if you're going to do lease purchase, you're going to be successful at it. And we have a lot of guys who do quite well in the lease purchase, but I think part of that, well, I know a lot of that has to do with the fact that we put those restrictions on it, and that you have to have those scores before transitioning in. And the reason being, and the reason I'm on this soapbox right now, is it's a business. And if you aren't prepared to treat it as a business, it's not going to do you any good. So our company drivers, they have those minimum pays, whether it's the $14.50 in the Midwest flatbed that I was talking about, or whether it's our over-the-road refrigerated at $1,000 a week minimum. Those are minimums. You'll get the better of the pay if your rate of pay per mile and the miles you run exceed that, which is very common in our over-the-road division. In the $14.50, the $14.50 is about what you're going to be expecting, unless you have 15 plus years of experience, and then that's probably on the lower end for you. Where for that Midwest flatbed, that's probably on the higher end for someone who's less experienced. And yeah, and less experience, because you're running a lot of shorter runs on that Midwest Flatbed division. A lot of shorter runs, back to back. It's a lot of work, but you're home weekly, coming home on a Friday night or a Saturday morning, back out Sunday night or Monday morning. So it's a 2-day home time, 5 days out on the road. And it's usually on the weekends that you're home in the flatbed division. But anyways, Chuck, to answer your question, we do have lease purchase. It pays 72% of the load plus the fuel surcharge. We have, what do I want to say? For our gross, like what you can expect on a weekly basis, when it comes to gross revenue, you're looking at about 5,500 about. I usually say cut whatever it is that you earn in half for expenses, because you've got your fuel expense. Yes, we have the APU, thank goodness for that. But we have the fuel expense, you have insurance, you've got your truck payment. And truck payment is usually around $775 for the flatbed, $750 for the refrigerated. So there you go. Long answer, Chuck, but I don't want someone coming aboard assuming that they can get into the lease purchase from day one and without being prepared. So that's my prep speech. All right, Jamari, right? Do you have any local driving or dedicated freight? Right now, we do not have any local driving positions available. Make sure that I'm right here. I'm just going to hop on to my available positions. Yeah, we don't have any dedicated available, but we do have home weekly. So if that Midwest Flatbed division that I was talking about, that is going to be the closest to dedicated that I currently have available. And it's not dedicated. It's going to be some of the consistent customers that you'll see, but you're not going to go the same route every time. It's just going to be pretty darn familiar to you every time. It's going to be within an area from Iowa City, like Fort Dodge, Iowa, to Iowa City to St. Louis. And I'm not saying you're just going to go from here to here. I'm saying anywhere in this area. So Fort Dodge, Iowa City, St. Louis. I'm trying to picture my map, sorry. Over to Columbus, Ohio, north to Toledo, over towards Chicago, up to Milwaukee, back down to Mason City, Iowa. Everything in that area that I just gave, that's going to be within our Midwest Flatbed division, that 1450, and we'll get you home weekly. That's the closest that I have to dedicated right now. Oh, Chuck is asking about the lease payment, the lease purchase balloon payment. Thank you, Chuck. I actually didn't talk about, the lease purchase is $750 or $775. $775 for flatbed, $750 for refrigerated. It is a 4-year lease term, and the trucks that you have are the same. They're set up the same as our company drivers, and you'll be ran the same as our company drivers. So they're going to be looking more at the overall earnings of the load for you than necessarily miles, but they're going to be looking at that for you for gross revenue. Then you've got the insurance, which is roughly around $115 per week. Tolls right around $200 a week. But anyways, it's a 4-year lease term, and at the end of that 4 years, then you'll have the balloon payment, which is the question Chuck was asking. So then you'll have the balloon payment. Right now, the balloon payment is at $97,000. If you decide to roll that balloon payment into another 2 years, you can do that and then pay it out as in lease payments like you did before, or you can just pay the lump sum. I know with a lot of our professional drivers who started in the lease purchase, or when they started the lease purchase, a lot of them paid extra along the way. So when it came to the balloon payment, they didn't have the balloon payment. That's up to you. You can do that. You can create your own escrow, or not really an escrow, but you can create your own savings So you build that up. So when it comes to the balloon payment, you'll just pay it off. I do believe, I'm trying to think of who it was, when they purchased the truck, I think for the balloon payment, I think they ended up getting it from their bank for the balloon payment and paying off the rest of it. But then we also have lease purchase drivers who don't purchase that specific truck, but instead do a whole new lease. So if you want to go the 4 years in the lease purchase program and then decide you don't want that truck anymore, you want to upgrade because maybe the warranty is about up, because our warranties are 500. The warranty is at 500, so 500,000 miles. So if you've completed your 4 years, you're pushing that 500,000, right? And you're like, nah, I want to upgrade to a new truck that's going to be under warranty, because that can be an overhead cost for sure. So if that's the case, then you'll just do a whole new lease. We'll take the truck back at that point. You sign up for a new lease. You don't have that balloon payment. You're just doing a new lease. So that's another option. So yes, there is a balloon payment if you're going to purchase it at the end of your 4-year lease term. No, you don't have to do the balloon payment if you're going to roll into a new lease. And the other option is at the end of the 4 years, if you don't want to lease anymore, that's a walkaway lease, so you can do that. And you can go back company if you want. It's not as common to go back, but it is an option. So, but the amount is $97,000 for that balloon payment, Chuck. Chuck says, so when you pay it off, is there an age limit on the truck? Yes. You mean to hire on as an owner-operator, right? The age limit is 10 years. So we do take on owner-operators, whether you started as a lease purchase with us or you just are coming in, you bring in your own truck, but the age of the truck is 10 years, yes. 10 years or newer. But I'm hoping that's the question you're asking. Okay. Whether you're an owner-operator or lease purchase, the pay to you is 72% of the load plus the fuel surcharge. You're going to be, it's not a load board that we do. It's your dispatch, your driver manager. You'll have to build that relationship with your driver manager and work with them. Or they're actually more so the other way around. They'll be working with you to get you the loads and working with our customer service department, who obviously works with our customers to get you those loads, those consistency. Taking a look and making sure that we're hitting goals on the truck revenue for you. Something, I gotta remember where, something just reminded me of something I wanted to say. I can't remember what it was. There's lots of somethings in there. Can't remember for the life of me, but yeah, you will be running, it's very similar to our company drivers when you're a lease purchase. Very similar. You're still governed at 68 on the cruise, 65 on the pedal. Again, this is company and lease purchase. You'll have all of the amenities of the truck, with the exception of company paid Epic View satellite TV. The TV's there. You'll still have the TV. You'll still have access to that if you want it, but it would be $16 a week instead of company paying it for you for the week. That's the difference between the lease purchase and the company. The other thing, Chuck, with bringing what did I just say? The other thing, Chuck, with bringing a truck on, it's a tongue twister there, would be making sure that it's not too heavy. Kenworths sometimes can be heavy, depending on what all you have on them. Internationals, they can weigh heavier, but we want to make sure that you're going to be able to haul the freight that we have. Our freight, that's what I was going to say. Sorry, totally losing my mind. But our freight, the majority of it, 97% is contracted freight. So high percentage of contract freight. We do have some brokerage freight available. It's not on a load board though. It's something that the driver managers are working with customer service and the logistics side of it. But like I said, 97% of our freight is customer freight, customer contracted. So all on contracts. Gives us a better idea of who we can hire in what areas and making sure that we can get people home as promised, right? Let's not break any of those promises. Maintenance wise, you'd be able to save on maintenance, use our discounts, things like that. Truck washes, yep, you can get your truck washed at the Decker terminals. If you're doing lease purchase or if you're doing owner operator, you don't have the opportunity to train. However, our company drivers, if you've been here at least a year here at Decker, then you do have, that's step one to qualify for training. But if you're looking to grow your skills and, move forward or advance, I guess is the word I want, advance here at Decker. If you're looking to get into the training program, then you need to be with Decker a minimum of 1 year. And you also, of course, have to have a very clean safety record, safety and scorecard record. We want to make sure that you're doing well in both of those because you're sharing your knowledge with a trainee, and we want that trainee trained properly so that they're going to maximize their earnings in the scorecard and the safety bonus, any of the bonuses, and their mileage and all that good stuff. So those are some of the qualifications, the starting qualifications for the trainer position, if that's what you're looking for. As for benefits start after 60 days here at Decker. With owner operators and lease purchase, you don't have the in-house benefits like Blue Cross Blue Shield through Decker. The dental, the vision, the 50% match on the 401k, those are all company side benefits. Keep that in mind. However, we do partner with a company that offers it, so we can always give you their information and you can look at it for savings and coverage too. I'm talking like health insurance wise. As for truck insurance, we can, obviously we have our provider, we can share that information with you as well. Can you pick a Volvo or Pete? If you're going into the lease purchase, yes. That said, here, giving you another asterisk. So Chuck, if you're looking for a Volvo and you're going into the lease purchase, you might have to wait longer to get it than if you're looking for a Pete. And that's only because 95% of our trucks or more are Peterbilts, are the 579 Petes. So the odds of having one available, a Peterbilt available, is higher than having a Volvo available. There's a big difference in the amount that we have of each. That said, last week, the only trucks we had available last week were Freightliners, the Freightliner Cascadia Evolutions. So, it's all based off of availability. So if you're looking for a Volvo, then we'll get with Lisa, or we'll get with the truck and maintenance staff and make sure that they are aware that that's what you're looking for, and they'll keep their eyes, when one comes in, they'll be able to start transitioning you over to do the lease purchase for that truck. But it could be a longer wait period, so keep that in mind. I could wait though. Yeah, you could wait. You bet you could wait. I don't know how long that would be because I don't know the circulation of how often we get Volvos in. If it's like once a year. For instance, the majority of our trucks being Peterbilts, we have about 680 trucks, right? So that's how big our fleet is. And with the average age of a truck being about 18 months, means 16 to 18 months, we're usually rotating trucks out about every 3.5 years. Okay. So if you're, I'm trying to do math, but not really doing math in my head. But what I'm getting at is sometimes the Volvos might be coming in, sometime in March. There might be a couple of Volvos in March. There might be some in August. That I don't know. I can find out, and they could be, they can give me a ballpark, because it all is, when they're ready to go from the manufacturers. But until then, we just have a ballpark. And when I say we, I mean those in the equipment department, not necessarily me. Okay, you get it. You're like, I got it, move on. No, I'm just joking. But yeah, so you can definitely wait. I just don't know how long that would be. And for that matter, if you wanted to start with a P, if you're looking to get into the lease purchase and you're like, okay, so it's February and the Volvos aren't going to be here till August, but you want to get in the lease purchase right away, you can start that way into the P, and then sign a new lease, a new 4-year lease come August, and retire your old lease. Yeah, another option. Okay, so back to benefits. Benefits start after 60 days. Blue Cross Blue Shield, medical, dental, vision, prescription. Awesome benefits, you guys. If you are on a prescription, and if it's a brand name, a specialty, or even a generic, we have options for zero pay copays on all of them. They're just a little bit different. Like with the $0 generic, it's pretty much every pharmacy except for Walgreens and CVS. The rest, everywhere else, it's $0 copay. Whereas with brand names or specialty drugs, then you have to go to specific pharmacies or order them from specific pharmacies in order to get that $0 copay. And you'll want to make sure that the prescription you need is savings. Steve hopped on here a month and a half ago, and said that he saved $1,800 per prescription. I shouldn't say per. I know that he had one prescription, and he saved $1,800 on it every single month through our program. That is a lot of money, and that was just the one prescription that he had. So I don't know if he saved even more beyond that. So keep that in mind. If you have questions on different kinds of coverage and things like that, if you call the recruiting department, 877-433-2537, they will send you the breakdown and the PDF of all of our insurance coverage. And that's going to include the ones that I've already named, plus life insurance and company paid life insurance. And then you have the option to go beyond that company paid. So company pays 10. And then if you want to up it to, I believe it's 125 or 150 without having to do the physical or having to do physical. And on the spouse, I want to say it's 25 without having to do a physical. I can't remember. But you have that option to increase as well. And there's critical illness, there's accidental death and disability. There's a lot of different insurances that you can take advantage of, short-term, long-term. I mean, we also have Aflac, so that's one of the supplement ones is Aflac. So I need to call you, just to make sure that we're covering all of your questions instead of going the long way around for you. 877-433-2537. So, excellent. Other information I can give you. Any other specifics, questions, you guys? Running lanes for over-the-road flatbed division. Over-the-road flatbed is not coast to coast. We don't really do the west in our flatbed. So basically, Denver East is our over-the-road flatbed division. Whether you're home on a weekly basis or you're home every 2 weeks, and again, that all depends on the positions available, where you live, you're going to be running a lot of Midwest and probably some southeast as well, Texas to the Carolinas. We've got freight in Pennsylvania, Kentucky, Tennessee, pretty busy in Tennessee. But yeah, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan. Did I say Michigan? That's another one. Missouri, especially around St. Louis. Kansas City area. Those are all busy areas for our flatbed, whether you're in the home weekly or the over the road, whether you live in Alabama or Georgia or Iowa. The Midwest is definitely an area that you would see a lot of it. And the reason I say that is because sometimes people are looking for Southeast only positions. We don't currently have a Southeast only. The closest we can do is, if you live in the Southeast, is our OTR flatbed, just keeping you east of Denver instead of running out west, but we don't run out west anyway. So that would be and again, depending on where you live, right now it's home every other weekend in areas from Texas to the Carolinas. Every once in a while, if we have something more regional or more home time or more dedicated, then other options occur, but those are full right now. So kind of gives you some comparisons to look at. We do look in-house before advertising or before letting anybody know of other positions. For example, if we have a position, like if we were going to have a position that's coming open that is dedicated or local, we talk to our current drivers before advertising. And that's because sometimes they came on and hoping for a dedicated eventually, then that's the case. So yeah, we definitely look to our current drivers before offering outside of that. Yeah. Chuck says, so if you decline insurance, will you pay us more per month? We don't have that. Years ago there was something, not per month, but there was, what was it? I was trying to think of what it was, but no, we don't do that. If you, as a company driver, you're talking at this point, right? As a company driver, you can save through our insurance. If you decline it, then you decline it. But there isn't more kickback to you on a monthly basis or anything like that. Nope. The benefits department has worked really hard in the last couple of years to, not that they didn't before, but I personally have seen a lot of extensions into our benefits especially over the last couple of years. The $0 copays, those are huge when it comes to the prescriptions. Absolutely huge. And we've only had that for a year. Well, the one we've only had for a year, the other one we've only had for a few months. But yeah, those are really big. We also have Regenix for one of the benefits, which is like stem cell healing through stem cell regeneration instead of surgeries. If shoulder, knee, joints, basically, spine. So that's out there as well and available. What's another one? FedLogic, is that right? Is that what it's called? And then the Blue 365, so a lot of resources through Blue 365. We have our EAP program, which is our employee assistance program. It is a free benefit, so it's separate from insurance, but it's a free benefit that does cover three consult type therapy sessions if you need it. I don't think therapy is the right word. It is. Anyways, we have some of those. We have, what else do we have? Lots of resources for like videos, courses. If you're dealing with estate planning or adoption or adult care, things like that you don't necessarily realize your company offers that, and we do through our EAP. Sometimes you're looking outside of the company you're working for that information, but we've got it here, so you can access that through our EAP program. Anyways, yeah. Any other questions on that? And then with our over-the-road refrigerated division, we run coast to coast. We run into Montana, Northern Oregon. We run all over, but we're hiring out of Washington, Northern Oregon, Salt Lake City, Nevada, areas of Nevada, Reno, Vegas, Missoula, Montana, Cheyenne, Wyoming, Denver, Colorado. Those are the areas out west that we currently have a position available for the over-the-road. That's about 2 to 3 weeks out at a time, and then home for 3 to 4 days, sometimes more, depending of course on how long you stay out. We also have the minimum pay in that division. That is a minimum of $1,000 a week. But again, I mentioned this at the beginning of today. The more miles you run, and if your rate of pay per mile and the miles that you run exceed the minimum pay, which in the over-the-road division it should, then you'll get the better of the two. And I was just going to double check, make sure that I'm quoting you right for that average pay. Yeah, weekly. So miles are, weekly miles. So it'd be putting you at about 14 to 1,600 usually per week for earnings, not mileage, pay. Chuck, I love the questions, so you never have to apologize for those. Never, ever. So, yeah. All right, so our over-the-road division, like I said, runs coast to coast. We don't do a whole lot of the New England states, New York, not a whole lot there. There is in southwestern New York, we do go into there every once in a while. There's an ice cream load, I think it's ice cream, that goes into there. I know we have one out of Maryland, ice cream load, but most of it's going to be Midwest, a lot of Midwest for freight for us. And then we have more of a regional refrigerated division as well. That one runs east of Denver, usually including Denver east. And again, when it comes to the New England states, New York, stuff like that, we don't do a whole lot of that. You could be seeing Alabama and Georgia and Texas, those are all busy areas for us as well. Again, the Midwest is very busy. Chicago, Iowa, Indiana, especially around Gary or Hammond, Indiana. Good locations for us. Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, the Minneapolis area is quite busy south of there as well. So Kansas City, absolutely. But yeah, those are all good areas for the refrigerated division. You guys, if you have questions, please do not hesitate to call the recruiters so that we can give you specifics. 877-433-2537. The more questions you ask, the better you'll know the company before you even get started. So we love it when you don't have surprises. Surprises are good when they're bonuses. But you want to earn those, so you got to know a little bit about how to get that, right? That's what these Q&As are for every week. All right, you guys, I super duper appreciate you guys for being here today. And thank you again for the questions. If you have more and you want to speak to the recruiters, again, it's 877-433-2537, and we'll be able to get you some specifics. Other than that, we'll see you on TikTok. We'll do our pop-ups on TikTok to answer questions there. Otherwise, we will be back here at noon Central next Tuesday to answer questions, or 4 p.m. Central on our Facebook page on Monday if you want to join at that point. But either way, offering the Q&A is the opportunity for you to ask your questions, get them answered. All right, be safe, stay warm, do your pre-trip, make sure you have plenty of water and supplies on your truck just in case, all right?